Hello, everybody. This is Ann. Thank you for joining on time. We're going to wait 2 minutes to let a couple stragglers join. So please multitask, and we'll get started at 2 minutes after. Thanks. Hi again, everybody. This is Ann. Thank you very much for joining today's Customers First Now CX Leader Series event. We typically hold these webinars monthly on a variety of customer experience topics and try when possible to have our customers present. In today's session, you will hear from Carrie Nelson, CEO and President of Customers First Now, and Steve Williams, VP Product Development of Customers First Now, presenting on 5 innovative ways to improve customer experience using journey mapping. As I said, Carrie and Steve will be presenting. Carrie is CEO and co-founder of Customers First Now. She has 25 years in the information and analytics industry, and she's held a number of roles, senior leader roles in multi-billion-dollar companies. Steve Williams has been with us since the inception of our CFN Insight software. He is VP of Product Management. He has 22 years providing award-winning products across a variety of companies, and he has a computer science and math degree from New Mexico State University and an MBA of Colorado Technical University. Thank you for joining with us today, and I will turn it over to Steve and Carrie.
Great. Thanks, Ann. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great morning, afternoon so far. We're excited to talk through customer experience, but really with the linkage to journey mapping. So we know journey mapping is top of mind for many CX, customer experience, customer success leaders and teams. And I think the #1 question we always get from our customers and contacts that we talk with on a daily basis is, just how to make the journey map the most effective, how to drive results, how to get the impact to the financials of your business. So, today what we're really going to talk about is the best practices we use for journey mapping. Our team's been doing journey mapping for the last 13 years across 10 industries globally in very complex organizations. And as Ann said, I've led customer experience for 2 very complex organizations over the last 10 years as the CX executive. So we're excited to share our learnings with you and approach. A journey map, as you can see here, it is really about, looking at how it touches the entire organization end to end, from the time a customer learns about you all the way to when they leave and return. It is really about helping you focus. It is all about focus. And it's not about putting a map on a wall. It is about what are the 4 things we should focus on right now that need to be addressed. And it is then, how do you drive that accountability when you know what are the 4, 8, 10 things you need to do? And it is really about, I like to say it's about connecting silos in an organization. It's not about breaking down silos. Silos exist for a reason, and usually a very good reason. So as a customer experience, customer success, customer excellence leader and team, your job is to connect the silos, and a journey map is a great way to do that. So let's go forward here and really talk about what are 5 ways to improve customer experience using your journey map. We're going to talk through how do you identify moments of truth and pain points, how do you ensure accountability throughout the business, drive action, measure the right actions, and then ensure leadership buy-in. So let's start with the first one, which is really, I think it's always a really key one for companies is you're building your maps. So the key thing when you're building your maps, it's all about let's ensure we capture all the different interactions or touch points that happen from a customer perspective. Not internally, this is not a process map. This is about what are your customers experiencing at every touch point in the journey with your company. So when you do that and you've inventoried all your touch points, then the one thing to, there's 2 things to do. There is, where is there a moment of truth? So what touch points really matter to your customers? And these are ones, whether you're doing a good job or not, you need to identify the moment of truth. What we jump to is let's identify the pain points, because those are the easiest things to do. And pain points are irritants. They're things, yes, that maybe should be fixed or maybe shouldn't be fixed, depending on how important they are to the customer. So that's why the moment of truth, if you do anything, is really understand what matters to your customers. And so the way we always look at that is trying to understand, using survey data. You can use your survey data to see what are they talking about the most in your survey, good and bad. Where are you having high volumes of interactions with your customers throughout the journey? Where are they touching you the most? We're having a fire drill, which is just lovely here. So I'm just going to go right through this. So we really look at what things are telling you that matter. Also, if you joined us last month for our webinar on customer interviews, talk to your customers. Ask them what really matters to your customers. Where in the journey does it matter to get it right? That first impressions are really important and that you want to have a wow experience. So if we go to the next slide, pain points, and pain points, as we know, are usually the easiest. I mean, these are the things that, why people are calling customer service, why they're complaining. You can look at reason codes to really distill that. You can look at your survey data to see what they're complaining about and talking about in a negative way. And so those are typically not the hardest things to identify. But the key thing is when we look at when it's both. When it's both a moment of truth and a pain point. So when you're doing your map, you got your moments of truth in green, you got your pain points in yellow, and then when it's both, those are your reds. Those are the ones to focus on because the customer's told you it matters a lot to get this right, and they've told you you're not doing a great job on it. That is a really great way to prioritize. And what we want to show you is an actual map and in our software, and Steve is going to show you a view of this where, again, the greens are moments of truth, the yellows are pain points, the reds are both. And this is, again, a view of a very end-to-end journey map, really helping you then figure out the reds. How many reds do I have and where do I need to focus? Steve, anything you'd add?
No, just the fact, Carrie explained it very well, that it does cover from both inspire to purchase, early engagement, through the end of your life cycle. So you truly can, with a quick view, understand both moments of truth, pain points, and where they overlap.
Yeah, and I think just on this, what's also key when you're looking at a journey map, and while we're sitting here looking at it in the software, is that you can see then, this journey map might have 50 touch points across, and again, this is where you just don't want to get confused. There's all those grays. the grays. Can we look back at the full map, please? Yeah, so the point is you're going to have a map that has 50, 100 touch points. They're not all created equal. So this is, again, you want to understand what all these touch points are. You want to know, ownership of these maps, these touch points. But again, it's getting back to the reds, where you're focusing on. Okay, so let's go to the next area, which is ensure accountability. So this is then, as we think about driving ownership at touch points. And actually, let's look at the business owner view, Steve, because I think this shows it really well. So if you go, so the other thing is you're identifying pain points and moments of truth. Definitely make sure you're identifying owners of the touch point, because here's what you're going to find. One of three scenarios, and there's only three of them. There's not an owner. So you can see where we have in the gray, follow-up to schedule, training, and consulting. There's no owner. That could be a problem if that is a moment of truth and a pain point. It's a problem in general. You should have an owner. So that's one scenario. A second scenario is you have an owner. It's very clear. So that's, you can see we've colored each part of the business, and where you have one color, that is an owner. And then, so that's good. And then the third scenario is where you have multiple owners. And this is where you can see view website. It has multiple colors on it. It shows from our index we have multiple owners on that. Agree to T's and C's, multiple owners. So the problem, as you can imagine with that, is if you don't, if you have a problem and you need to fix it, who is the person that's going to fix it? So as we go back to our, five best practices on this, accountability is really clear. Clearly a top priority, because you want to be able to know who to go to and who to drive ownership. So then as we look at the third one, which is then, okay, now we really need to drive action. And again, I think there are a lot of ways to do journey mapping, and you have to decide in your organization what methodology is going to work. In some cases, it's all about the picture and the visual, and, there's a lot of ways to display it. I will tell you, based on my own personal experience, the most important thing you need to do is be able to clearly communicate the journey map, people understand it at a glance, and drive action. If your journey map does not do that, I wouldn't even build the journey map, because it is all about, it's telling you and informing you where to focus. So you want to go do something about it. So action planning is key, and we're going to show you, we looked at that view that had moments of truth and pain points. And so the key is then how are you making sure at those moments of truth you got owners and actions? So in this example, we've actually linked the touch point on the left-hand side, complaint to the Office of the President. We have an action name, discussion with the President. We have an owner, it's the product owner, and the goal is no complaints. And the actual is no complaints. I guess we have no complaints, so that's a bad example. We probably wouldn't track that one unless we just improved it. But what you're doing is trying to drive ownership and accountability at the touch point, and keep linking it back to your map. So then people are like, oh, okay, I impact our customers' experience here and the journey, and here's where I own the action, but here's other people that you may have to interact with internally. So again, having some sort of a scorecard is really key to drive the action, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, about scorecards. But action planning is very important. And if we go to the next slide, really talking about some best practices around scorecards. So if anyone's heard me speak before on this topic, which I do quite a bit, a very strong point of view on scorecarding. And I know it works because I've done this for many, many years. And the first thing when you're building your scorecards, and you could see it in the software as well, we only use red and green because you're trying to drive performance. And the key is you want people to know I'm either on track or we're not on track and we might need help. We might need your help to remove barriers. We might need more attention. We might need more money. We might need more resources. But red and green drives behavior. And so you really, really, really want to make sure that you're not inserting some other color that gives people the choice. Do I go faster, do I go slower? It's like, you know, your red, yellow, green stoplight. At yellow, everyone does one of three things. Goes faster, goes slower, or it depends. And you do not want that in your action planning process. The other key one, which is very hard to do, and I know this is hard to do, is keep it to 8 to 10 metrics. It's always easier to have more of everything. That is easy. And I've seen scorecards that people will show me that have like 200 metrics on it. I don't know how you can focus on that many things. So the key is keep it distilled down to the most important things. Again, mapping right back to your map and your moments of truth and pain points. Ensure your metrics are outside in. It is very easy to put a metric on your scorecard like delivery timeliness of our product. I've experienced this personally where my delivery team was measuring timeliness and they were measuring it based on when they sent out the product. And that was noted as sent to customer. And the performance of that was 99% on time. So I said, okay, well, that's really good. So now let's measure it from the customer lens. Let's ask them, once we deliver a product, let's send out a quick one-question survey. Did your product arrive when you expected it? And the answer was 46% of the time it did, versus our internal metric of 99% on time. So clearly only one of those metrics is the one you want to use. So keep pushing your organization to think like the customer. Your journey map can help you, so bring that to life in your scorecard. And lastly, the high will owners are very key. We're going to talk about ownership here in a minute. Right now we are. Ensuring leadership buy-in. So the biggest thing is there are typically three internal audiences I focus on in an organization when you're driving customer experience and you're mapping processes across an organization. One is top-down, so getting the right senior leadership on a steering team or a governance team or a customer council, something that brings them together on a monthly basis that only focuses on your customer experience initiatives, the insights from the journey map, the insights from your surveys, how you're bringing that together to action plans. The second big group I focus on are people leaders, the managers of your teams. The number one reason people leave and join companies is because of their direct leader. Number one reason, not money, not benefits, not having a pool table in the office. It is their direct leader. So really connecting with those people leaders is absolutely critical to your success, and finding a way to engage them on a regular basis. And there's a lot of great ways to do that. Champions. I always love having some sort of champion model around customer experience. And again, these champions can be part of your journey mapping efforts. They can be part of relaying what's coming out of your survey data, but they're typically representing key parts of your business. Functionally, you might have someone from marketing, someone from customer service, someone from technology, someone from HR, someone from finance. Your product lines, depending on how many product lines, I always have someone representing each of the major verticals we serve, and then geographies. So in any given company, you might have 15 to 20 of these folks, and that's a good number because they are your eyes and ears from a bottoms up. So with that, you know, as we kind of summarize, okay, yes, no, let's not go to that slide. That's, I thought we had a summary, but I'll summarize. So summarizing, you know, the key is just ensuring that you have a journey map approach that will, will really get bought into the company. You're driving the actions, you're driving a really clear focus within the company through the right leaders. And, but you want to link everything. That's the key. Customer experience is about linking the things that you're doing, from the journey map as your framework, how you're bringing the survey data to help provide some of those insights, but again, making sure it's very integrated into what you do. Steve, anything else you would add?
No, just the fact that we do have a tool that very much supports these things Carrie's talking about, and that's what we were showing you throughout the demo, is various views from that tool.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So again, our tool, other tools, we specifically wanted to make sure there was something around action planning. So, a lot of our customers do a lot of stuff in PowerPoint and Excel. There are much easier ways to do it, but again, however you choose to do it, you definitely want to get to the action planning piece. So I think at this point, we're going to do some Q&A.
Yep. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Steve. So we have a call to action immediately after, and this call to action is, if you're interested in what we showed you as far as the software, please sign up for a trial. The trial is very simple. You can go to our website, customersfirstnow.com, and at the top, you can use our pull down to look at our tool, CFN Insight, and you can sign up for the trial there. It's obviously no obligation. We are happy to put in part of your map or all of your map. If you have your map in another format, we're happy to do that to you. You can email us, and we will be happy to oblige. We're happy to do a mutual NDA if necessary with your organization ahead of time.
Can we just go to Q&A?
Sure.
Yeah, do we have any questions? Because that would be helpful, because then, if anyone wants any other things, great.
So we do.
Okay, great, let's go.
So the first question that we received was, do scorecard metrics evolve and change? And if they do, how often do you recommend changing them?
That's a great question. So scorecard metrics do change, but what I would say is, do not be tempted to change them too frequently. You want to see if things work and that if you can make progress. So I typically use a rule of, once you have your scorecard in place, stick with it for at least 180 days. Because, you really want to start to be able to communicate and show consistency and continuity around, again, 8 to 10 metrics that you're measuring. And also see what's working, what's not working. After 180 days, you will know whether something is, having the impact to your customer experience or not. But if I've seen organizations where it's like, every month, there's a tendency to want to change metrics, shift things around, and you just won't get the learnings that way. You won't, you won't be able to see anything else changing in that short period. So yes, they shift, but I think when you do your scorecarding, in a very data-driven way, really, looking at what you did in your map, looking at the survey data, looking at operational data to create the scorecard, I've had scorecards that last, the full year, and then we've adjusted the next year as we've hit objectives. So I think that, again, time is important here to learn around your scorecard metrics.
Cool. And we have another question around scorecard. And so let me go back to that slide. The question was, let me go back to it. So somebody questioned the horizontal arrows under trending. So they wanted to understand why.
Horizontal is just no change, so that's just saying there's a flat performance. So again, it's a trending. So the important thing is, especially when you have a lot of reds on your scorecard, you always want to show, even if it's red, you may not be at the goal, but you're improving. But a horizontal is just to say there's no change.
Thank you. The next question we received is, when a business has multiple owners for a touch point, what's a best practice for identifying the primary owner? And how do you go about it? Is it a...
Yeah, there's not an easy answer to that one. And it's different for each business. We definitely help customers figure that out, but it's really understanding you know, I always go back to will and skill. This is how I solve things like that. I think about and understand so if I have 3 choices of who's going to own a particular touch point, I would look at all 3 of those choices and I would evaluate each one of them on will. Is there high motivation to solve and own this? So that's all about motivation, interest, passion. You know, it's that drive to want to care enough about that touch point, you're going to go do something about it. So that will is really important. And then the step, which is the most important. The second one is skill. It is important. I don't think it's as important as will. I would rather have somebody that has the drive to do something versus the person that has the skill to know how to do it, but then doesn't have the drive to prioritize it. So skill, you do want to still understand it with the person's skill set. And again, when I think about skill, I kind of go down to the competencies. It's like, you know, customer service, let's say. I've had people own customer service metrics that are not the customer service management team, because they don't have to be an expert in speed of answer, how fast you answer a phone to solve that, getting it faster. You have to know how to solve problems, and you have to think about things from a people, process, system to do it, but you don't have to be a customer service expert, my opinion, and I've run customer service for 10 years myself. So I think that the key thing is understand the will of who your choices are, understand the skill, and then you make a choice based on that.
Thank you, Karen. So just a reminder, anytime while we're answering questions here, you can submit your own questions by going to the Q&A panel on your WebEx control panel, select Ask Host, and enter your question in the box. And when you're done entering it, press the click Send, and you can enter as many questions as you like. So we received another question. Once a pain point is resolved, do you keep monitoring it? Do you keep showing it as red, or does it just the red go away, or do you kind of keep it on the back burner?
Well, I always show a pain point in yellow.
Oh, yellow.
Yeah, so if it goes away, it turns to, it doesn't have a, you know, it wouldn't have a pain point, moment of truth, or any color. It would just go back to a normal, whatever your color is for your map. So we use gray. So it would just turn from yellow to gray to show that there is no pain point here, and you would track that you successfully improved that pain point. I think that, again, the only thing would be is if it was also a moment of truth and it was a pain point, it would have been in red, and then if you solved the pain point part, it would be green now. It would still be a moment of truth. It's very important, so keep it green, keep a focus on it, because you still want to, you know, outperform in that area.
Thank you. And those are all the questions that we've received so far. If anybody has any other questions, oh, we have one just came in. Thank you so much. Let me read it. How do you go to link a survey to the mapping?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one of our #1 questions we get from customers as well, is because, you know, most companies do have some level of survey data. So the key with the survey data is to, and if we could go show this, Steve, in the software, that would be great. The way we look at it is, you know, you're taking, whether you're doing a relationship survey at a high level or you're doing a specific touch point survey, the key is to know which touch points you're learning information about and then apply that to the touch point. So we have a view under customer delight, and in customer delight, the way, you know, the way I did this one is, you know, I used an index, 0 to 100. And in the 0 to 100, you know, I looked at which, you know, so it's an index, so or it would be like MPS. Your green would be your promoters, your yellow would be passives, and your red would be detractors. And so what you want to do is be able to, as feedback's coming in, be able to look at your map and be able to see where you're getting feedback at a certain touch point. Typically, it's going to be around those, you know, like high volume touch points, like customer service, product delivery, it could be a sales touch point. And you're going to go in there and you're going to be able to apply, you know, where you're getting positive feedback, passive feedback, and negative feedback. And so, again, it's getting prescriptive from your survey to know what they're talking about. So you can use your rated questions that are specific to touch points, which is a good way to do it, and then link that back to your map, to a touch point that you know is a pain point in a moment of truth. So sometimes, you know, people ask, well, what's the order? Should we do our map first? Should we implement a survey program? I'm a big believer, do the map. Understand in your map where your pain points and moments of truth are, because then you can build a much more effective survey program to then ask questions about specific touch points that you know are moments of truth and pain points. And then as you're getting survey feedback, you can see if you're improving it. So it's a great way to, you know, to measure your progress and link the survey data. So that's how most of our customers are leveraging their survey data in their maps today.
Thank you, Carrie. So we haven't received any other questions. So you're welcome to enter any questions, but I'm going to move it back over to the call to action. And if there are any questions that come in after the session, we'll be happy to send responses directly to you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. So back to call to action. So again, if we've piqued your interest on looking at our journey mapping software, you are welcome to sign up for a free trial. It's 15 days, and then we can extend it because we all recognize everybody's busy. We also suggest that you do our best practice assessment. Did you want to describe what that assessment is?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of customer experience assessments out there. I mean, we've built a 20-question assessment that we use with our clients that really span across colleague engagement, your team member engagement, your customer engagement, your operational performance, and your behavioral performance, like how your leaders are walking the talk, how you're driving from a reward and recognition. But, you know, again, and we based it on our own personal experience of leading CX. So it wasn't just a, you know, kind of a theoretical assessment. And then we really want to be able to have something that we could tell you that here's, you know, based on your self-assessment, based on the comparisons across industry and size company and the best of the best that we measure, you know, here are the opportunity areas and your strengths and your opportunity areas. So it's definitely something to do. We do that complimentary. We can follow up with you and walk you through it. You know, we also, as you can see, you can have a one-on-one strategy session. I'm happy to sit down with anyone just to talk through what are you doing today and, you know, give you some thoughts on what I would do in your shoes. And then, as Ann said, we're always happy to look at your journey maps, put them in the software so you can see how that translates, and, you know, get you going on a trial to give us some feedback on that. So back to you, Ann.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie, for the explanations. So with that, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. This was a good, quick webinar for you. You will receive an email from Carrie containing all the links to the recording, recordings to previous sessions. So again, we have these monthly, typically. So you can find those. We have a channel up on YouTube, as well as we've posted them all on our website, customersfirstnow.com. So you can go up there and find those. We are having a webinar in October, and Carrie's already identified the topic. So it's tentatively scheduled for October 19th, depending on travel schedules and availability. But you will receive an invite because you have been invited here, so thank you. And if you have any other additional questions about today's session or previously recorded sessions, feel free to email myself or Carrie, and we will get back to you immediately. So we recognize that you are busy, everybody's busy in their work, and we appreciate the time that you take to sit through and listen and interact with us on these webinars, and we hope you join us for another one next month and future ones. So with that, thank you, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of September. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.